కలలలో దాక్కుని కొసరి కొసరి కౌగిలింతలి పమాకల ఎదురుగా నిలబడి మనసులో అలజడి పెంచి పెంచి ప్రేమలోన ముంచితే ఎలా
ఓ కొత్త దారిలో ఓ ప్రేమ పేజీలో ఓ కథని రాద్దాం రాయిలా ఓ సంఖ్య విసిరిన సంకళ్ళు తెరిచి చేరవా నన్నెలా ఓ ఇషా ఓ ఇషా ఓ ఇషా
ఈషా
ஏற ஏற மேல ஏற இல்லாம எல்லாமே தீர வாடா தம்பி மேல வாடா தம்பி மாற மாற எல்லாம் மாற அன்பாலே நாம் எல்லாம் சேர வாடா தம்பி ஏறி வாடா தம்பி வெடிக்காத விரும்பாத எப்போதும் வழியா மாறாதடா எரியாத விறகாத எப்போதும் பசிய போக்காதடா நமக்கு ஒரு பாதை அவசியம் தேவை இருப்பதை கொடுத்தா அது ஒரு போதை வாடா தம்பி மேல வாடா தம்பி வாடா தம்பி ஏறி வாடா தம்பி ஏற ஏற மேல ஏற இல்லாம எல்லாமே தீர
In a world where connectivity is key, where businesses strive to thrive in the digital age, one name stands out as the beacon of innovation and reliability: NetStream Integrated Solutions. From network infrastructure to cybersecurity, cloud solutions to managed IT services, with tailored solutions and round-the-clock support, we're more than just a service provider. We're here to elevate your business to new heights. Visit www.netstreamis.co.za or call us on 03100.
Prepare to immerse yourself in the stories that shape our world as we delve deeper, explore further, and uncover the truths hidden beneath the surface. Join us on a quest for knowledge, understanding, and connection. From the corridors of power to the hearts of communities, no story is too vast, no detail too small. Coming up next on Southside FM 107.2, Beyond the Headlines.
It is 12:31 on the dot on the 6th of March 2024. Good afternoon and welcome to Beyond the Headlines with me, Leah Ganesan. You're tuned in to Southside FM's live current affairs program, where we have reports, discussions, and interviews on the stories that matter to you. Over the last weekend, the world observed World TB Day, and this has allowed us to look not only at the impact of this one disease, but also at the medical sector as a whole. Today, we will discuss unemployment in the medical sector in South Africa, and we will discuss progress on battling infectious and communicable diseases. But before that, let me give you our program for today. Coming up in Beyond the Headlines, 270 out of 800 unemployed doctors have been appointed around the country. And we will then speak with the South African Medical Association chairperson, Dr. Akhtar Hussain, and about the employment issues in the medical sector. Later on, we will speak to Dr. Ishwar Gilada, a consultant in infectious diseases and the People's Health Organization in India. And as always, we'll round it up with your economic report and, of course, some top sports stories for you. Let's get right into your current affairs. The National Ministry of Health has confirmed that out of the 800 unemployed doctors who petitioned the Department of Health for vacancies, 270 have now been appointed across the country. The Department of Health says that progress is moving along and 270 doctors have been appointed already. Health Department spokesperson Foster Mohale says that more appointments will be announced soon. However, he says funding is also an issue that needs to be addressed. Mohale says a media statement will be released once more vacancies are filled. And on this topic, of course, we have South African Medical Association chairperson, Dr. Akhtar Hussain. He will be joining us shortly. I'm sure he will join us soon. Let's just see if we can get him on the line here quickly. Doctors are very busy, we must remember. Of course. So yes, on this point, we know that there has been an issue with employment of doctors for a while now. It can be discouraging to people studying medicine, looking to study medicine. So it is important to discuss this. We know there's an unemployment issue as a whole across the board, but especially in such an important field that is so necessary to this country. It's not something that you want to have to deal with. Let's just see if we have Dr. Hussain joining us now. As I said, later on, we've also got Dr. Ishwar Gilada, who will be speaking to us on the progress of battling AIDS in India. Medical reports have shown that India can end AIDS soon if all the affected people have secured their full range of their HIV combinations and are given the full support to lead a healthy and productive life. So now we finally got Dr. Akhtar Hussain. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on your program.
Thank you so much. So one of the things we wanted to discuss with you, sir, today is the employment issue in the medical sector at the moment. So there's sort of a brain drain, if we can call it that. Many doctors and skilled professionals have now left for greener pastures because of the employment issues. How is the government handling that situation of these minds and these skills now leaving the country?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is the big challenge in South Africa. Not only the medical profession, many other profession having an issue of employment, but doctors in this country is shortage. There is a huge shortage of doctors in a public hospital, even in rural hospital. There were no posts are advertising in any province. Government, the ministry promised beginning of this year, even the President Ramaphosa announced every doctor will be absorbed in the ANC manifesto launching. We were very happy that about thousands of doctors will get employed, but that looked like empty promise. We haven't seen massive recruitment for junior doctors, especially those who are completed, the community work after 1 year. They're supposed to start junior medical officer. There are no posts. And on the top, there is an issue. Some province, they're employing a doctor contract basis shift doctor. Shift doctor means you can work today 8 hour, 8 to 4, then tomorrow you work at night 8 p.m. to another 8 hour in the morning. So you like a factory worker. This is the basic condition of doctors' rights are violating. A doctor can work a normal hour and committed overtime, after our work once a week, but they are changing unilaterally. So many doctors not going to sign those type of contract, and that's how you see the doctors are looking for greener pasture. That is true. European countries also looking South African graduate all the time. Middle East, Canada, Australia, they are looking for South African graduate, and they are recruiting one way. Not only the junior doctor, specialist as well, nursing also going. In Germany, they need 20,000 nurses. They are recruiting. So if our government, Department of Health, don't do actively recruitment for doctors, and the patient is suffering because there are no doctor in the hospital.
Yes, so getting down to a more grassroots level, looking at the unemployment rate among doctors, have you seen or do you expect to see a decline in the number of people who are willing to study medicine? Maybe they feel that it's not going anywhere. They might have to struggle for too long looking for a job. Have you seen these numbers decline, or do you expect to see a decline?
Not really number decline, because people like to become a doctor to serve the nation, serve the community. It's a passion. So even this year, there are a huge number of applications submitted in medical school, and they can only take certain amount of doctors, students. Each medical university take about 300, 350. So it's around 2,500, 2,600 newly qualified doctors come out every year. And then they do 2-year internship, 1-year community service. The challenges start when they start community. Of course, post community service, there are no medical officer post. So they are forced to go and do locum, private practice, work for somebody, or they must go overseas, because South African trained doctors are very well competent and welcomed by most of the country. Yeah.
So for people who have studied medicine, you're saying that the numbers of people who are willing to study are still there. So
Yes,
for people
they
who
are
have
there.
studied it and now are in the process of waiting to be appointed and waiting to get a job, what advice or guidance do you have for them in the meantime as they're waiting?
What we are asking them to submit their application to South African Medical Association. We are compiling a list to give the national minister to employ them. This is one way, and we also trying to give them more further training through the group practice, or some people are going privately and working with them so they don't lose the clinical medicine.
Yes, and
And
so lastly, I just want to ask you. Yes, sorry.
I was saying this is all happening last few years because of the Department of Health cutting the health budget. Severely, budget is reduced, and they don't have enough fund in whether it's a medical or teaching domain or engineering side. So it's a national treasury problem. It's a really sad issue where there is a huge number of doctors are shortage in public sector. If you know, one public sector doctors patient ratio is almost less than one doctor per 1,000 patient, and that is not acceptable. We don't have enough specialists, we don't have enough psychiatrists, mental health. The challenge is very big, and the government need to be proactive with South African medical. We can help them how to make sure the system run well, because the health system is collapsing.
Yes, and on that point of the funding that you were talking about, funding being cut and budgets being cut, how is the medical sector coping with that? We know that as we're talking about, employment rate has dropped because of the funding also. But what else has the funding affected in hospitals?
Hospitals are not up to date. Equipment are broken, not replaced. Theaters are not repaired. Backlogs are increasing. Doctors are burnout, stress. They are almost mental health is deteriorating, and those are the service delivery. The quality service delivery is not there. Medicine out of stocks. Patients care, especially nursing care. Even the supply chains are reduced. So it's a multiple effect in the health system. That's why I'm saying you cannot have a quality health care if you cut down the budget. Medicine is not a cheap. So you start getting cheap medicine, or most of the time drugs are out of stock.
Right. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for joining us and speaking on such an important issue.
No, you're welcome. Not a problem. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. So on the topic of the medical sector rather, medical reports recently have indicated that India can end AIDS if all affected people secure the full range of HIV combinations, that's prevention, testing, treatment, and care services, and are given full support to lead a healthy and productive life. This emerged at the 15th National Conference of the AIDS Society of India. The theme of the conference focused on informs, reforms, and transforms HIV. Joining us from Kochi is Dr. Ishwar Gilada, consultant in infectious diseases and people's health organizations, to explain. Dr. Gilada? Our doctors are very busy today, it seems. They're just trying to join us now. So while we wait for Dr. Ishwar Gilada to join us, as I said, he is a consultant in infectious diseases and People's Health Organization. He is actually the first medical practitioner in India to raise the alarm on HIV in the country. So we will be speaking to him as soon as he is able to join us. On Sunday was actually World TB Day, which was an eye-opener to a lot of people for infectious and communicable diseases like TB and HIV. And that is one of the things we will be discussing today, the progress being made in battling those diseases and what India specifically is doing and what the global healthcare sector might be doing in regard to these diseases. So we will have Dr. Ishwar Gilada join us very soon.
కదలదు పాదం ఎదురుగను కనబడకుంటే నిలవదు ప్రాణం నిమిషము నిన్ను చూడకపోతే పెదవుల మౌనం చేసెను నా ఎదలో గాయం వినబడుతోందా ప్రియురాల విరహపు రాగం నేరమేరుగనే నేస్తమా శిక్ష వేయుట న్యాయమా కన్ను మూస్తే ఇంతకన్నా నరకం ఉంటుందా ఊపిరు
So as I said, we are now joined by Dr. Ishwar Gilada, consultant in infectious diseases and People's Health Organization, to explain the medical reports that we have had on India with regards to HIV and AIDS. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
making the time. Yes. So you have been the first medical practitioner to raise the alarm on HIV in India. What has been the biggest sort of issue that you've faced in raising the concern of HIV and tuberculosis?
No, HIV and tuberculosis, they are interconnected. We call them
Yes.
twin epidemic because in HIV, patient is not sick because of HIV. Patient is sick because of the immunity which is lowered in HIV, and they can contract the other infections which are called opportunistic infections. In any developing country like India or South Africa, there are a lot of opportunistic infections which are there in society, and they will cause infection when there is a immunity is lower. So say there is a one patient who is having tuberculosis and coughing, and there are 10 patients around or 10 people around. Not all will get tuberculosis. Only one person who has lower immunity, that person can get tuberculosis. However, HIV negative also can get tuberculosis, but depending on the immunity. So therefore, they are called opportunistic infections. They do not usually cause infection, but depending on the opportunity, they will cause infection. They will cause infection. And therefore, a patient with HIV, not on treatment of HIV, not on ART, is likely to get other infections, which are secondary opportunistic infections. And tuberculosis is one of the most common infection in that.
Yes, and so we mentioned earlier in the show today that on Sunday it was World TB Day. So even one TB or HIV death is too many. So how has your organization and how has the Indian medical sector or health sector rather applied an effective treatment to fight against HIV and to fight against TB?
You see, World TB Day has been decided by international community when the Robert Cox, who diagnosed the tuberculosis or germ for the first time, based on that date, they decided to have a World TB Day. The goal of World TB Day is to make awareness in people who are not usually working in the field of tuberculosis. For those people who are working in the field of tuberculosis, for them every day is a TB day. There is no holiday for TB day. But for politicians, policymakers, stakeholders, funders, for common people, they should be made aware, and that day is chosen to make them aware. Secondly, globally, they have declared that they would like to eradicate tuberculosis by 2030. So, idea is that by 2030 we should have controlled tuberculosis in such a way that there will be no new infections, and whosoever is infected is cured of tuberculosis. Prime Minister Modi in India has declared that this should be advanced by 5 years. So we would like to eradicate tuberculosis in India by 2025. We are already in 2024. So we are doing fast tracking to eradicate tuberculosis by 2025. In this area, what has been done is that tuberculosis medicines are made available free of cost to the entire country through primary health center, secondary health center, tertiary health center, medical colleges, hospitals, as well as through private hospital with a public-private partnership, so that people don't have to pay. Means, despite that, some people want to go to private sector and get tuberculosis treatment done, they can get it done free of charge. In the government, and they can pay and get it done at cost from a public hospital, private hospital. Secondly, in TB, there is something called MDR TB, multi-drug resistant TB. And multi-drug resistant TB is also very common. Almost 8 to 10% of the patients with TB, they are resistant to more than one or two drugs. So when person is resistant to rifampicin, which is one of the most potent anti-TB drug, that person is described as a MDR TB, because rifampicin is usually clubbed with the isoniazid, so that person is resistant with at least two drugs. And then there are people who can be resistant to more than four drugs, and they are from different classes. So one of the class is a new class, which is a bedaquiline and delaminate. If that one of the medicine is patient is resistant to, another class is called fluoroquinolone, patient is resistant to, and rifampicin isoniazid. So if they are resistant to one drug each from three different groups, that person is called XDR. So extremely drug resistant tuberculosis. Now, if suppose you leave them untreated, that person will spread through cough or through pomite or through any kind of germ to other people with MDR tuberculosis, and that MDR tuberculosis will speed up. Government of India has started providing bedaquiline, which is one of the most advanced drug or latest drug and very expensive, but being provided free of charge to TB patients who are MDR TB. And by that way, the person who has to take treatment for 2 years or 3 years for MDR has been reduced to 6 months to 8 months only. So these are the two advantages of this newer drug and free of charge treatment. So, for example, our clinic, Unison Medicare and Research Center in Mumbai, in the entire South Mumbai, is the only public-private partnership center where we can provide entire TB treatment free of charge. Consultation is paid by government, even if the patient choose to come to us for private clinic. Whatever tests are required are paid by government. Whatever medicines are required, whether it is a drug sensitive TB, which is a common TB, or drug resistant TB, all the drugs are provided here. Even bedaquiline, which is costing almost $2,000 per month. So if our patient needs bedaquiline, patient comes now, and we ordered bedaquiline from the government setup, which is very close by. Within 3 hours, we get bedaquiline. So the patient doesn't have to spend one single rupee, and that is a real sense of public-private partnership. Though the patient has chosen to come to us in a private clinic, the patient is provided free treatment. And by this way, we are seeing the result that people who should have died within last couple of months or couple of years, they are no more dying. The death rate has come down. And they are not infectious. They are not spreading infection to other people. If this cascading effect goes on, then we may not be able to eradicate TB by 2025, but to a great extent by 2030.
That That is very eye-opening. And on that point, you said you've addressed obviously the financial part of their issue. You've addressed the financial hurdle. In terms
Yeah.
of cultural and traditional beliefs that people might have you experienced any pushback to the
No, no.
treatment for HIV and AIDS?
Basically, you see, if people are getting free treatment and then the stigma of tuberculosis reduces, that tuberculosis is manageable disease, curable disease, the automatically stigma will reduce. Stigma to tuberculosis and particular to MDR TB is that you don't want to go near a patient who has got TB or MDR TB. But if the patient is under treatment, that person is no more infectious. So we need to bring all such people under treatment and render them without any infection to other people. And automatically stigma will reduce. And stigma starts from medical clinics, it starts from families or home. So both the communities, if we educate them properly, that this is one of the disease. And why should we have a stigma for a disease which is completely manageable and curable?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today
Thank you.
and for taking the time. Thank you very much. That was Dr. Ishwar Gilada, consultant in infectious diseases and People's Health Organization. We've had very good discussions today about medical issues, about the employment issue in the medical sector in South Africa, and about the progress of battling TB and HIV. And now we will move on to your economic report. Gold has gained 0.31% today, selling at $2,179.91 a fine ounce. A barrel of Brent crude costs $86.68. The US dollar's range for the day is between 18 Rand 85 and 18 Rand 93 cents. It's currently trading at 18 Rand 88. 1 British pound is 23 Rand 93, 1 euro is 20 Rand 53, and the dirham is trading at 5 Rand 16 cents. It's currently 4 rupees 40 in Indian rupees to the Rand and 2 rupees 44 in Mauritian rupees to the Rand. Bitcoin has gained 11.07% today, so it is trading at $70,672.03. Now moving on to your sport, taking a look at cricket first. The Board of Control for Cricket in India has announced that this year's final of the Indian Premier League will be decided on 26th May in Chennai. The Cricket Board released the full schedule yesterday with Narendra Modi Stadium playing host to 2 of the 3 knockout matches. This year's IPL will serve as the perfect preparation for the T20 Cricket World Cup, which will start a mere 5 days after the IPL champions are crowned in Chennai. Moving on, rumors of the Bafana Bafana head coach Hugo Broos's exit have surfaced. According to reports in Tunisia, Broos is on the verge of closing a deal with the country's national football team. Broos's contract with SAFA expires at the end of 2026 FIFA World Cup. However, according to the Mosaic FM, Broos will tender his resignation after tonight's encounter between Bafana Bafana and Algeria. SAFA has, however, denied the rumors, so we will have to wait and see what the outcome is there. Finally, in football, staying in football, the Brazilian football star Vinicius Jr. has confirmed that he is losing his desire to play due to the behavior of football supporters. He has been the target of racial abuse by opposition fans in the Spanish La Liga, where he has been playing for Real Madrid since 2018. The 23-year-old recently spoke with the media and confirmed that he has been exposed to racism for a long time, and every time he feels sadder, and every time he has less desire to play. He further said that he won't be leaving Spain to play in a different country because that will give the racist people what they want. Thank you so much for joining our show today. That is the end of our current affairs program. A special thanks to our production team, that's Ashok Ramsarup, Manik Thor, Rishali Subalak, and Dishagan Sitharprasad. And of course, thank you to JK.